So maybe let me you need to Hey, Simole. I'm just waiting to see if anybody else is going to join. So if no one joins in the next 2 or so minutes, I'm just gonna start. How are you otherwise? How's the reading coming along? It was a slow reading week for me as well. Hey, I actually did not read as much as I wanted to, but for some reason I'm all over the show with my reading as well. I seem to be, I won't say it's a moody season, but for some reason I keep picking up something and my interest kind of dwindles and I'm suddenly, my eye gets caught by the next thing and I pick that up. It's weird because I'm not usually that kind of reader. It actually just started a few months ago, I want to say, because I'm usually the kind of person who can only read one book at a time. But lately, I've had more than 5 books opened at one time, which is kind of strange for me. And this week hasn't been one of those where I have found myself picking up a lot of those books. I actually picked up, okay, maybe I picked up all of them, but I only read so little from each of one of the ones that I did pick up. But anyway, reading happened, so that's great. Let me just get started. So I will update you on how my week went. Yeah, it's a weird time. Hey, everybody, I think is having a dry season. Bookaholic underscore queen also says that she's having a dry season in terms of reading, and it's been months. I think there is a lot of that going on, and for me, when I can't read, I don't read, and when I can, I pick up my pace, so I don't force feed myself books. That's one thing that I will never ever do. But anyway, so I just wanted to update you from last week, the books that I did manage to finish from our last Friday reads. I managed to finish Dog Eat Dog by Nick Mhlongo, which I really did enjoy. I'm not sure if I liked the fashion in which it was molded, but I really loved the main character and the story that Nick was telling. I think I gave this one a 3.25, if not a 3, I'm not sure, but I really did enjoy it. And then I made that boo-boo last week where I showed you Deathly Hollows when I meant to show you the Half-Blood Prince. So that's what I was reading last week, and I did finish, well, I was reading along with the audiobook. I did finish it during the week. I finished this, and I started Deathly Hollows, which is a new one now that I'm showing you guys, and I am on chapter 11. So it's going a bit slow for me, so it is a slow burn, this last book in the series, and I have been enjoying it, but I would have really loved a better pace. I think I mentioned last week that one of my favorites was Goblet of Fire, and I think I liked it because of the intrigue of the games, the pace. It was fast paced, and because of the games there was some adventure and excitement there that was different to the adventure and excitement that's usually in Harry Potter. So I am about a quarter of the way through the final book. I do have Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, but I haven't been hearing great things about it, and that one is a play. I haven't read plays in a long time, but I think I might pick it up so that my Harry Potter season is over and I can then indulge in everything that JK has been doing and has been I guess shamefully doing. So I haven't been looking out for those news because I don't want my experience of the book to be tampered. But I will definitely be investigating JK as soon as I'm done. So I think I must read The Cursed Child so that I can just find out what the hell she's been doing. So that's Harry Potter. And then I got a delivery. I'm sure you guys saw my bookish mail stories from Jonathan Ball. I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday or Wednesday? But this week. And one of the books that they sent me was this, Principles of Success by Ray Dalio. And this one is the illustrated version that is suitable for all readers. It really took me less than an hour to read this, about 30 minutes if I'm exact. And I really liked it. I liked it a lot, especially the last practical pages of the book, when he's done, and then you get to ask yourself some life questions, etc. So this really had a great impact on me because it just reiterated some of the stuff that I've been meddling with when it comes to personal development. And I like practical books because they also allow you to map out your life and to reiterate or restamp the things that you've already outlined in your life path, etc. And last week I showed you guys Roland A. Roberts II's Born to Dream, which is a book that I'm still working through because it really requires a lot out of you. I did go through it a little bit this week, but I stopped at the point where I really need to do some practical work as well. So that's just how that book has been going. It's a stop and start because it requires you to invest time and energy into it, but I am enjoying it. So I finished these 3 books this week. And then fresh on my list that wasn't there last week are these 2. So I got this one today, and I was chatting with Riley about this one because he had seen the adverts on the NB Publishers page, and he was saying that it was something that he was craving to read. And so I thought, okay, let me pick it up and find out what he's raving about. And this one is quite interesting. Forgive my pronunciations, but I'll read you the back, and it's got a character list of about 7 characters. I just want to get you to understand what kind of story this might be. So if I don't pronounce some of these words correctly, because I do understand that it's set in Cape Town, and from what I am looking at, it's around a certain culture in, I want to say, the colored community. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of colored slang that I've come across on here so far, and I'm only in chapter 1. So the book is called Mermaid Fillet by Maya Ardini. Ardeni, I don't know, guys. If you know her, you'll correct my pronunciation. So the back reads, the only human ever born wearing Jordans received a DM on Twitter after a gang-related hit. The mission, find the Tamagotchi or else. This is the story of a Banghat, a main O, a genuine O, a Malnai, and a Twitter user. A story where dark and fantastical experiences are intricately woven to tell the tale of a network of wannabe gangsters, a wife fanning herself with her husband's money in the northern suburbs, and a scurvy 29-year-old living in Woodstock. In this Cape Town, there's a goddess who casts raging red storms when female bodies are abused. It's a place where women try to redefine their space in society, and highly coveted mermaid tails are traded for 4,000 rand per kg. Mermaid Fillet is about violence, feminism, and how you dala what you must. It is by Aquila Books, and I just want to get into the characters for you. Then I'll look at the comments that you guys have been sending through. So the characters, this is the character list. Like I said, there's about 7 characters here, but I want you to understand what the descriptions are so that you can get a greater understanding, of the story as well. So the character list, the name of the first character, they are unnamed. Their type is a Banhat. They are aged 30. Their sexuality is fluid. Their pronouns are they and them. Their vice is Jordans. Star sign Sagittarius, and they're from Belleville South. The second character is Walid Muhsin. His type is Grootman. His age is 50. Sexuality, he is asexual. Pronouns he and him. His mental illness is depression. Star sign Taurus, from Kleesrivier. And then there is Isaac Arensa. His type is a Malnai. I don't know what these types mean, by the way. So if you guys understand it, you will let me know. His type is a Malnai. His age 32. His sexuality, he's bisexual. Pronouns he or him. His vice is alcoholism. His star sign is Leo, and he's from Ravensmead. Then you've got Alton Glenans. His type is genuine O, and his age 47. He's heterosexual. His pronouns are he and him. His vice is vaping, and his star sign is Capricorn, and he's from Belha. Then you've got Letitia. Her surname, she was born Arensa and married Glenans. Her type is Dave, and the age is 34. She's heterosexual. Her pronouns are she or her. Her mental illness is post-traumatic stress disorder. The star sign is Gemini, and she's from Ravensmead. Then you've got Michaela. Her type is Sturvy. She's 29. Her sexuality is demisexual, pansexual, and polyamorous. And her pronouns are she and her. Her mental illness is social anxiety. She's Aquarius, and she's from Glenhaven, Woodstock. And then the last character is a username at M16 in your bank, and the star sign is Scorpio, and that's all you know about that username. So that's the book that I've just picked up. Let me just catch up on your guys' comments. Okay. So Simola says she's yet to read Nick's work, and that was my first. Okay, well, not my first, because I read Black Tags, but that's a collection of essays, so I don't really think that it showed much of his fictional creativity, but I did enjoy that collection of short stories. So this was my first of his books, and like I'm saying, I think that it took a lot of getting used to in terms of the style, but one thing that hooked me from the start or intrigued me was the main character, Dings. So I really do think it's worth reading, and you might have a different experience altogether. And Visionary Publishers question, what influences your book choices? Okay, and then I see other people are joining. So to Visionary Publishers, my book choices are based mainly on I think that I gravitate towards female leads, or rather that was my first, when I started reading a lot, that was the first thing that I used to look at. And my female leads had to be strong, and they had to be Black, and they had to be something that I could see in myself as well. And then with time, I realized that if you want to know more about other cultures, you need to read a little bit vaster. So my appetite is always for YA, because it's easy for me to find strong female leads in YA. And sometimes they are Black, sometimes they are not, but then they are strong female leads. And lately I've been trying to increase my reading for African and South African authors. That was never a dimension that I delved into in my discussions about books. And so I have been reading more from that. And to be honest, if I like the cover of the book, if I've heard about the author, and if there's a pull towards any book, I will read anything. There is no specific preference, and I hope I'm answering you, but I see that I'm taking the long route around. So I used to always look for female authors, female leads, and Black or African, or something from the African diaspora in general, when I was looking for books to read. And now I just read anything, so long as there's some kind of pull to it. And obviously I'm not going to enjoy everything, but I'm loving what I'm discovering by opening up my preference, if that makes sense. But like I'm saying, I am building more on the African and South African authors in my collection and in my list of books that I have read. And then Bookaholic Queen says, interesting. I am seeing a character list for the first time in a book. Do most books have them? What I have seen in the books that I have read, especially YA, I think because of the worlds that they create, they struggle to tell you a lot about the characters from the get-go, and I think they want you to get to know them a little bit more. It's either they use the first few chapters to just try and kind of give you a character list or attributes to those characters, but I've never seen an actual list of this nature. I've seen, say for example, in Children of Blood and Bone, they define the tribes in which the various characters belong to. So it would be like if Mia had chosen to just define the vices or the types in the beginning. So I do see some of that going on, but I've never also seen a character list of this nature. And I think because of how the book is written, she really needed to do that for us, because in the first chapter I had to remember that if they're talking about the Banghat, they don't have a name, so they will say they and them, and I needed to understand and remember that this is the one character. So I think she really needed to do that for us to make it easy to follow, and I'm sure by the time I'm on chapter 5 or 6 it will be more self-explanatory, but at the start it's quite jarring to be reading about somebody who doesn't have a name and refers to themselves as they, or is referred to as they and them. Yeah, and especially because they're encountering other people, so sometimes it's jarring because you need to understand who's they, who's them, etc. So yeah, but I like where the story is going after the first chapter. The Banghat is quite interesting, and it looks like they're about to go on a very interesting adventure as well. Oh, I'm glad I managed to answer. I think I took the long way around. I'm so sorry about about that. Um, okay, so I want to catch you up then on the last 3 books that I had mentioned last week as well. I picked them up just a little bit. I started House of Stone, and this weekend I think that this is the book that I'm going to focus on finishing. And like I did last week, I'll update you on the Sunday on how it all goes, but this is the book that I want to give most of my focus on this weekend. But I do have a busy weekend, so I'm really hoping that I'll manage to get as much in as possible. And then Hlomu is the same story. I just read a little bit, but we are discussing with Bookish Nontly. I think that's, I always call her Nontly, and I think her Instagram handle is Bookish Nontly. We'll be discussing this at the halfway mark, which has to be next weekend. So I really need to put in some time into this. And the thing is, I did read this before, and I think I told you guys while it was still in blog formats, but that was a while back, so I really do need to recap. I have the basic understanding, because obviously the kind of story that this is, it's very hard to forget, but I don't want to just rely on that memory alone. And then this is my online book club pick, and how this one goes is that I have to read a certain portion every week. So we divided it into 4, so we are on the 3rd part of the quarter. So after tomorrow we'll be left with the last quarter, which we will discuss next week Saturday. So I am on chapter 35. I should have finished chapter 39 by the start of our meeting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So that's it from me on my Friday reads. What are you guys reading? I can hear my daughter outside. They went for a walk with the nanny. And for all of you who just stepped in, I just wanted to give you guys a recap, which is why I'm sorting these books out. So last week I finished Nick Mhlongo's Dog Eat Dog, and I finished, I'm holding the wrong book again. I don't know what the problem is. I finished The Half-Blood Prince, Harry Potter, and I finished Principles for Success by Ray Dalio. And these are the books that I plan to meddle in this coming week and the weekend. Deathly Hallows, Harry Potter, Mermaid Fillet by Maya Ardeni, guys, I don't know, hey? And then House of Stone by Novuyo Rosa Chuma, Hlomo the Wife by Dudu Busani Dube, and Yellowbone by Ikau Juka. So that's what's up. Okay, Mr. Pink Ink says he's reading The Talkmen by CJ Tudo. What are the rest of you guys reading? Simone says she's reading Lives of Great Men by Chike Frankie Adozine. Guys, I'm very bad with names that I've never heard before. I'm so sorry. Mr. Pink Ink says he needs to continue his Harry Potter reread with Order of the Phoenix. You know what's been helping me, because I really struggled with Order of the Phoenix because it's so huge. It's such a chunk of a book. It's about 700 and something pages long. I then subscribed to Audible, and that's really been helping. So I stuck with Audible for Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and now I'm also still listening to Audible for Deathly Hallows. And the guy's name that I enjoy, I think his name is Stephen Fry, if not Steve Fry, whose narration I really enjoy there. He's really, I love how he sounds, and he makes it more enjoyable for me, whether I'm reading along or just listening to him. I just want to see if I can get that detail, but I do think his name is Stephen Fry. I think so. I'm trying to look, but I don't even know where I'm supposed to be looking. But I'm convinced it's either his Steve Fry or his Stephen Fry. Oh, you're also listening via audiobook. No, that book is huge. I really think that that's the best way to get through it, especially if you were having some momentum while reading it. You then suddenly being greeted by such a big book, it does throw you off a little bit. Bookaholic Queen says, I read vicariously through Bookstagrammer's for now. Oh, you read? I thought you said read. I read vicariously through Bookstagrammer's for now. I enjoy buying books for now. Recently bought House of Stone, The Gold Diggers, and Theory of Flight. Oh, I'm really enjoying House of Stone here. I mentioned, I think last week, that I've only ever read one book from Zimbabwe, and that was a long time ago. It's a book by Yvonne Vera called, now the name escapes me. Ooh, I seem to think it has something to do with yellow. Anyway, the name escapes me. So this book, I'm only at the beginning, like it's probably a few pages in, as you can see. And I'm really loving how the sentences weave into each other, and the kind of story that looks set to unravel from here. I was talking to Simole about it some time back, and she said it's useful when you start this book to kind of formulate your family tree that they talk about, because it should guide you while reading this. I know that she's read it, so if she has any opinion for you, then that would definitely be it. And you're absolutely right, Simole, the book that I'm talking about is Butterfly Burning by Yvonne Vera, and I read it a very long time ago. So I'm enjoying what I'm discovering from Novuyo's writing. She's doing something magical there that I'm enjoying a lot. Okay, do you guys find that it's easier for you to read from like a huge pile at a time? Not huge per se, but more than one book at a time? Or do you find that it's better if you focus on one book at a time? Because right now, it means that I need to pay attention to 5 books. And I wasn't that kind of person before, if I'm being honest with you. Okay. We've got about 5 minutes left, because like I always say on this platform, at 5 o'clock it is Bokamoso's time. She reads from extracts from certain books at 5 o'clock every day, actually, not just on a Friday. So I would never like to take from her, and I actually enjoy those sessions when I do tune in as well. So Simone says she reads one book at a time. I fully understand that. That's what I used to do as well. But for some reason, I just decided to just go with whatever this vibe is that's seeing me opening more than one book at a time. And you know what? It's easy if the one other book is an audio book. So if it's an audio book and a physical book, that's easy. But this, what I've been doing lately, doesn't make sense to me. But it's working out for some reason. Layla says one book at a time. A pile is way too overwhelming. I can fully understand that. Mr. Pink Ink says one at a time because it can get chaotic for me. I get that. I really don't know what's going on, guys. I do think that this is a season. I'm definitely a one book at a time person, but something's happening that I can't explain, and I'm just going with it. And I'm sure that very soon I will not be going with it because I will get to that overwhelming and chaotic vibe around it. So I don't know. And behind me, I think part of it is that you guys might not see all of those books, but behind me is a huge TBR pile as well. And I think that seeing it every day is making me want to kind of race and read as much as I can. So perhaps that's why I'm seeing myself picking up so many books at a time. And then also, I am one of those greedy readers. If somebody that I trust says that they are looking forward to a book, like what happened when I was chatting with Riley, when he saw this book on my stories, he was on some, yeah, no, that's a great book. And I was like, I'm not going to sleep on a great book. I'm opening it today. So I am one of those readers as well, which doesn't help, I guess. Bookaholic Queen says, I'm a faithful reader one at a time, but if I were to cheat, I cheat with short stories. That makes so much sense. Somebody else said to me when I was questioning reading more than one book, that how they work it out is that if the books are not from the same genre, it's easy for them to then delve into the different books. So they could read a YA, they could read a biography, they could read short stories, they could read a collection of essays all at the same time because they are different. And I understand that now, because reading more than one book, especially fiction, means that you need to understand the character development and story development of 5 books at the same time. And it's not like watching a series or watching 5 series at different times, because at least those kind of visual arts don't require too much from you, I think. But reading really requires a lot of attention from you. So I'm wondering if once I have put these books, the ones that I showed you guys, to sleep, if I'll go back to one book at a time or one book and an audiobook. We shall see. All right, guys, I think it is almost 5 o'clock. Thank you so very much for joining me. And if you just came through right now, I will definitely put this up as an IGTV video, and you can catch up on there. Thank you once again, and happy reading weekend. Until next Friday. Bye.